So the military is not going to require U.S. troops to receive the annual flu vaccine, Pete Hegseth said. I'm fine with that. I haven't received my annual flu vaccine since I was in high school, and I'm fine. So therefore, it's not necessary. You see that science? No, sorry, I didn't mean to make fun of it there. But no, that's fine. Come on, it's the flu. You're talking about like war fighters here. These are the best of the best.
They can't get the flu on the battlefield.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, who cares? They don't need to get the flu shot. Yeah. They don't have to be forced into getting the flu shot. They can get it if they want.
Well, here's the thing. You're talking about adults.
Yeah.
Like they're adults who can make adult decisions.
And also they'll be fine. The flu has like a 0.1% mortality rate, and that's with the elderly included in it.
And
like
children.
For military age men and women mostly men that are in good physical condition, what do you think the mortality rate is for the flu? And if they get it, good. You feel that? Overcome that. You got the flu, deal with it. Go run up that hill over there while you got the flu. Anyway, Senator Mark Kelly says,
puke during chow time.
Do it. Mark Kelly says, George Washington believed that vaccinating his troops against smallpox was the key to winning the Revolutionary War and our independence. A founding father from 250 years ago had a better understanding of science and military readiness than Pete Hegseth.
It's the same thing. Smallpox,
flu.
Same.
So that's the first obvious, really dumb thing about this. The dumbest part is you're literally comparing something that I don't even know at that point in time, something that has like a 30% mortality rate, I think at that point in time. You're talking 1700s here. Okay. Now you're still talking about like, military age males or whatever. Maybe they're in better physical condition or whatever.
But here's the thing. Do you think that George Washington had to force his troops?
Well, I think he did. Well, they did require that they get inoculated for a bit, but then for a while he actually said that they couldn't get inoculated because when you could be down for like a month when it happened. And by inoculated, it didn't mean that they lined them up, got the syringes out, pumped them full of the newest mRNA vax or whatever that was out at that time. No, they exposed them to like a lighter version of smallpox, like.
So you actually got sick.
Like here's a jar. It's got some skin in it. It's for a little bit of smallpox on there. And so you actually got sick when they inoculated. And they did think that it was important because people were dying from this. It was going around. And it was important that the military that you not lose like 30% of the military.
And Costco says, but now, Nate, because of this, Iran's going to coat their bullets with the flu. And, we're going to take the whole military down.
That is a possibility. Yeah. Hadn't considered that. I did pull up this thing from the mountvernon.org. So just straight out of Washington here. While Washington believed wholeheartedly in the efficacy of inoculation, in May 1776, he ordered that no one in his army be inoculated. Violations of this order would result in severe punishment. The summer campaigns were about to begin, and Washington could not afford to have a large number of his men incapacitated for a month, vulnerable to attack by the British. Washington eventually instituted a system where new recruits would be inoculated with smallpox immediately upon enlistment. As a result, soldiers would contract the milder form of the disease at the time that they were being outfitted with uniforms and weapons. Soldiers would consequently be completely healed, inoculated, and supplied by the time they left to join the army. So yes, they did think it was important for their soldiers to be inoculated against something with a 30% mortality rate, at least at this time. That is not the same as the freaking flu.
It's like 0.001% mortality.
For those guys and girls in the military, not the same. Not the same. Real fast, we can make fun of Democrats. They posted out after they posted this out on 420. They said no one should go to jail for smoking weed. And many people, for some reason, thought that it was good to point out your candidate in the previous election was literally like Officer Kamala Harris, prosecutor, who cackled
about putting people in jail.
Cackled about smoking weed herself. and while also knowing that people have been prosecuted for weed crimes. And so that seems to be just a little bit hypocritical. Like your last big candidate
Just a little.
was a former prosecutor.
Your last president wrote
Your
the
last
crime bill
presidential-
in the
It's true.
90s
You're true.
that put
It's
all of
true.
these black people in prison for drug crimes.
Yep.
So I love how they like can just magically take these wins, you know, like to be like this lip service of the, you know, perfect beacon of hope when literally, if you look at their actions, they orchestrated since the 90s, and their last candidate for president are the very people who orchestrated the imprisoning of largely people of color for drug crimes.
Yeah.
That's weird.
And we should point out Trump did a couple good things this week, and they are good things. The change in the scheduling for marijuana officially happened this week, so down to Schedule 3, I believe, from 1. So it's
Which
no
allows
longer
for research.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's also, you know, people are pointing out, you know, it's going to be good for the weed companies and all that. The banking restrictions and all that are going to be much different. But the biggest thing about moving the scheduling, in my opinion, is the research. I don't smoke weed. I generally don't think that it's a great thing for people to just be walking around high all the time. Although someone who's high all the time will tell me that that's fine, I'm sure. What I do think is very important is that we get some good research on weed, because there's something that I've been told my whole life when people were trying to talk me into smoking weed, which is that there's nothing bad about smoking weed. Smoke as much as you want. You can do it like you could smoke this entire jar right now. Nothing bad can happen at all. No one's ever died from smoking weed. There's no bad side effects that happen. And so that, I believe, is still a thing that a lot of people say, although I don't hang out with anyone who's still trying to get me to smoke weed. And that's not actually true. And there are long-term side effects, but I believe we've gone so long without doing any actual scientific studies into the matter that's just this thing that everyone believes. And it's not that you can't smoke weed. That's fine. Do it. You know, you do whatever you want to your own body. But I do think people need to be more informed about the long-term side effects of it. So,
yeah, we need to know.
Yeah.
Having the data is important.
Okay, so we'll skip past a couple things there. Number 8. This person, I'm going to throw in Hassan Piker on number 8 also. This person says, billionaires did not get rich by working harder. They got rich by making sure you work harder, get paid less, and spend more. And then they also said, you do not earn $1 billion. You steal it. Nobody works 1 billion times harder than a nurse, a teacher, or a farmer. That money comes from underpaying the people who actually did the work. Stop worshiping hoarders who are just really good at wage theft.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
There's a few different ways.
These people upset me because they've never started a business ever. They don't know what it's like to actually start something that could potentially turn into $1 billion, or, as most businesses do, fail.
Mm-hmm.
So
most of the time, yeah.
You have no idea what it's like. Speaking of, I just helped start a company that has the potential to do really well, also has the potential to fail. And by the way, I pretty much work on it 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Nights, weekends, family time, trips.
I don't know, man. Your sleep score is really good, so I'm
that is true. Yeah,
time frame.
I did get to sleep really well last night for the first time in a couple nights, but no one's there. There's not a single person that I'm stealing wages from that's trying to help me build it at all. It's just the few guys that started the business with me, we're all working 24/7 on this thing to get it to a place where we can start hiring people and start to try to grow it. That's how creating businesses work. So if you say like that's not worth $1 billion or whatever the case is, like what is that time worth? Like who's willing to sacrifice, time, which is your most valuable asset, to try to build something to be of value to people so that you can get a little bit of coin at the end of it. Mm-hmm. What is that worth? If it's not worth $1 billion, what is it worth? And who's willing to sign up to help make those things happen?
Yeah, but it's not worth that. I mean, you wouldn't be able to make it. But we're still talking about the whole thing wrong. All of what Charlie said is the proper moral, philosophical way to think about it. I need someone to help me explain this better. I don't know how else to do it. You think someone actually got paid $1 billion out of people's wages?
Well, yeah.
That didn't happen. I would
too.
like to know if anyone has ever been written checks out of like the fund of the business, out of the proceeds, like from their actual revenue, their actual profits, and got paid out in total $1 billion over time. Like literally checks written to them, totaling $1 billion. I don't know how many times that's actually happened. These people don't get paid $1 billion. Okay. Elon Musk is worth like $800 billion now or whatever it is. Tesla's whole total profit they've made since they started is like 20 or $30 billion because they lost so much money before they started. You didn't get that from people's wages. That's not what happened. Like Charlie, if I were to say your net worth, like your net worth is, you know, is fine. It's pretty good. Decent net worth is happening right now.
Could have been better. But.
How many, like, did you get that because of the wage theft from the people at your company? It's on paper. It's on paper for all these people. And sure, you might be able to convert that over to real money, but it's on paper and it didn't get there because you were scraping, like you were taking the house rake from people the whole time, and you scraped, like Musk has somehow scraped off $800 billion of the profits of his companies. They haven't profited that much money at all in total. Nowhere close. It's just, I don't want to call it funny money because it represents what people deem to be valuable, you know.
Fugazi.
But it's like, it's not really there, and it hasn't actually changed. You know, this is not real money from profits in the companies. It's money in the stock market and the value of the company and what people have decided they're worth. And that's fine. But it's an important distinction because the idea that he got that is $800 billion that should have gone to the workers instead is like the whole basis of this whole, like this whole Marxist thing, this whole leftist thing is that's $800 billion that should have gone to the workers instead. And I'm just here to tell you, if that was not going to Elon Musk, it would not exist. It only exists because of Musk's ownership of those pieces of paper. There's no choice that $800 billion could have gone else. It's not paper. It's, you know, you could print it if you wanted to.
It's a number. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to play
Look,
this.
I'm telling you, the Fed Haters Club is figuring out ways to get rich. You know,
Are they?
Yeah. Start a few NGOs.
Yeah.
Maybe do a little Medicaid fraud.
What?
Move out to California.
Do you want to like fight hate or something like that?
Yeah.
We could fight like different forms of hate.
Yes, we could.
Huh.
That would be great. Solicit donations. People would like to donate against hate.
Okay.
Maybe we could stop violence.
Yeah.
We could be against violence.
Being against violence, that's a good thing. We're against death. What if we just started an anti-death charity or whatever, an activist group? Yeah, that'd be a good thing.
Our mission is to stop death.
Let me play
It's
Hassan.
a big problem, by the way.
The Hassan Piker thing going around this week.
Engels wrote about the concept of social murder. And Brian Thompson, as the United Healthcare CEO, was engaging in a tremendous amount of social murder, the systematized forms of violence, the structural violence of poverty, the for-profit paywalled system of healthcare in this country. And the consequences of that are tremendous amounts of pain, tremendous amounts of violence, tremendous amounts of deaths. And that was a fascinating story for me because Americans are very draconian about crime and punishment. They're very black and white on this issue. And yet, because of the pervasive pain that the private healthcare system had created for the average American, I saw so many people immediately understand why this death had taken place.
Yeah, he sounds gay.
They they understood it, but they didn't understand why they were so damn wrong about all the things that they I mean, listen, it's not
Well, look,
that
they're
United.
right. They're right about the situation. Well, I'm saying the current situation of the healthcare market being so expensive and unaffordable for the average American.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to the hospital for something and you know, you get a $2,000 bill, or you ride in an ambulance and it's 20 grand or whatever, you're like, oh my God, how am I ever going to pay this? I remember, you know, at one time somebody I knew had a procedure done that insurance ended up decided that they weren't going to cover anymore. And it was like $160,000. And the hospital was like, set up an easy payment plan of 30 grand a month. And you're like, who? No one can afford an easy payment plan of 30 grand a month to pay off this bill. So I get it. The problem is they don't understand why that's the case. It's not the free market capitalistic healthcare system. That's not what it is. This is a heavily government regulated, essentially fascist system that is causing prices to be so out of control that people are very upset about that. Now, there are ways that we can fix it, none of which anybody is entertaining, except for a very few smart people who understand what the actual problem is. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
It's not corporate greed. It's like you have to understand, if you understand anything about hospital financials, they're charging all of this money, like ridiculous amount of money. And most of them are operating on negative net profit margins, literally negative.
Mm-hmm.
You go look at the books. Many of them are publicly traded or they're nonprofits. You can see the financial statements. They're negative. They don't make a profit. Now, some do. You know, HCA is pretty good about making a profit. I think they're up to 20%.
20% profit?
Yeah, than their latest financials.
I have to look into that.
Yeah, so I saw it.
Oh.
They think they netted 80 billion off 500 billion in gross. That's pretty good.
A lot of quiche.
That's almost 20%. Now, historically, they've averaged like 4 to 8%.
Yeah. Insurance companies average 2 to 4.
Yeah.
Something like that. And the insurance, like the thing with United Health that people always point out are the denials. And they got a higher denial rate than the other ones. And that's what people get really upset about. And like, first off, he talks about this whole system, this whole for-profit healthcare system and all that. And of course, we're like, well, you can't live without it. And I get that. We have a for-profit food system, you know, and I don't think it's violence. I don't think it's violence that we have a for-profit healthcare system. And I don't think the denials are violence either.
There's a lot of nonprofit healthcare systems in America.
There are.
A bunch of them.
Yeah.
Ascension, Trinity, Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic. These are all nonprofit entities.
Mayo's free?
It's nonprofit.
Oh.
It's not free. I'll tell you that much. It ain't free.
Definitely
it is
ain't
nonprofit.
Free. See your previous story. All right.
That's the other thing that's so wild to me that people don't understand, that a lot of hospitals you go to are technically nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It doesn't really help.
Ascension that we have here in Nashville and in Florida and all over the country, they're a massive nonprofit system.
Great.
Literally nonprofit. They don't make a profit. They're not. Their goal is to not make a profit.
Mm.
And what's interesting though, if you go to,
of course, they do still have to cover their operating expenses and have enough left over to pay all their workers and their. Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing: you compare someone like Ascension to HCA. It's basically the same, except HCA runs a better operation and can actually turn a profit.
Yeah.
Ascension, let me give you a real world example of how this operates. Okay. I know people who have worked for both hospitals in a clinical capacity. And I'll tell you the difference. Okay. Here's what happens at a hospital like Ascension. Here's something small, but if you remember the McDonald's story, something small can turn into something very large. At a nonprofit like Ascension, they don't track the stock room. Like literally, nurses can go into the stock room and get fluids and get IVs and get, needles and whatever the case may be. And they don't have to scan it. It blows my mind because these supplies can end up costing a system like that hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay. Now let me show you what the difference between that nonprofit system and a for-profit system like HCA. Whenever you go get supplies, IVs, needles, whatever it is from the supply closet, you have to scan every single item. They track every single item because at scale, that $50 IV bag or whatever it costs them to it's probably more like $1. But anyway,
probably less than $1.
At scale, when you have, 200 hospitals and you're running like McDonald's, when you put ketchup into the bag, by the time you get done for the year, you're literally spending millions of dollars in supply cost on the supplies. HCA tracks that and makes sure that their supply cost remains negligible compared to what they need to charge for that. Whereas a nonprofit system, because they're nonprofit, we're like, we don't need to track these millions or billions of dollars worth of supplies. Come in and get whatever you want.
What some people hear is an evil corporation that's trying to make money, and so they're tracking all these things. What I hear is a more proper and efficient allocation of scarce resources that have alternative uses. And so that's what the profit system brings you. One of them, they'll just use up they're not going to track it at all. The other one is now they're trying to find the profit. They're trying to profit something off of that, and so they're tracking. But what you're actually getting is a more efficient allocation of scarce resources that have alternative uses, and I think that's great. So let's talk about Marx for number 9, real quick. The most difficult and in-depth topic that we have in the show, we'll do it very fast, so as fast as we can. So it starts with this meme or this post on X. It says, "Fact: the labor theory of value is correct, and every critic of it relies on strawmans and falsehoods already refuted by Marx himself."
Oh, really?
Let's go to one of the alleged strawmen and falsehoods. So there's the Austrian school argument is that a mud pie requires labor but is worthless. So you're attacking a straw man. So think about the mud pie. So if the actual value of something comes from the labor that went into it, and so, some material stuff like that, but like the labor that went into it, how do you determine, well, how much labor, how long? I think in Marx's like grand calculations, it's going to be like the average labor time that it takes. Okay, how are you going to figure out what that is also? But
you just had like a Tucker moment.
Yeah. So how are you going to do that? You can't. Some people have tried, and so you spend some labor, some time making a mud pie. Well, who wants a mud pie? No one. But it's got value. Look at the labor I just spent. I could have made an apple pie, made a mud pie instead. Now, what they say is that's not the case because that has not been deemed socially necessary. And so it doesn't actually produce any, what they say, use value on this. And so the next question is, who decides what's socially necessary? How do you figure out all these things? There was a really funny post here, I think an accidental self-own on here. Someone said, "I spent 500 hours building the statue of poop. How much is my labor worth?" Evan Loves Wharf says, "Insanely easy question to answer if you know the tiniest bit about Marxism." And then they said, someone said, "Why don't you answer it?" Said, "If it's art and people are willing to pay for it, like other statues, then it has both a use value and an exchange value. If it's just something wasting time, then it's not socially necessary and has no value."
Okay, but how do you determine that?
This Evan Loves Wharf person just decided to use the subjective value that we all know things have as a way to describe how you would decide what has value under Marxism, which is the subjective theory. I don't remember exactly what it's called. It's been a minute since I read all these books. I've slept since then.
Well,
they literally use the way that we decide things are valuable in order to say that's how
introducing it to the
Marxism would do
market.
it. Yes.
And then you get feedback from the market.
If it's art and people are willing to pay for it,
for instance,
then it has both use value and exchange value.
Yeah, like the person who sold a rock, pet rock, made millions.
There's the value of things is obviously subjective. It always is, and it's always going to be. People have been finding ways, they're trying to find ways to get around this, and you just can't do it. One of the greatest examples that I'll just kind of paraphrase or throw my own on top of it was like diamond, or if I were to offer you like, here's a 1 carat diamond, here's a glass of water. There you go. Which one is more valuable? What do you want?
Depends on where you're
What do you
located.
think? Yeah. Where are you? Are you trapped in a desert right now?
Yeah.
Because
Are
that
you in
water,
Djibouti, Africa?
that water might be the most valuable thing to me on the entire planet right now.
And the glass that
and
you
the
get
diamond
with
is
it.
worthless to me at the moment. Or if I'm sitting here and I've got 3 drinks to my right here, I'm about to pee my pants, so I'm plenty hydrated. I don't know. I think I'll take the diamond.
And sell
pretty
it.
sure. But why? What about the time that went into doing those things? No, that's worth nothing. 0. Actually, you've taken money from me by asking me about it now.
Here's the other thing that they don't take into account that I think a lot of people miss, and this is because it's hard for people to see the unseen. You just need a little bit more IQ to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. What about all of the things or services even, but let's stick with things that have been created that people decide are no longer, that are not socially valuable, and so they all go under as businesses.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of labor. I would argue there's probably more labor spent on things that don't exist than labor spent on things that do exist that we find valuable.
Well, like for instance,
How many products have been made and developed in labor spent, hours, capital spent, labor spent on things that get introduced to the market, and the market's like, nah. Most, by the way, because most businesses fail.
If I go spend 20 hours building you a typewriter, how much you want to pay me for it? It's not going to be very good. At one point in time, a typewriter would have been deemed very valuable if someone had deemed that it was more valuable than the current thing people were using to write down with. They would say, whoa, why would I do that when I can just write this down for 20 hours?
I've got the quill and ink.
Yeah, that typewriter is going to put 5 of us out of work, And so eventually they have a typewriter and they're like, well, I'm already doing this right here. Why do I need some fancy computer like a copier? Something like that. We've got all these people working. And so how do you decide that? The great thing is, I know there's all sorts of fancy economist speak that people might want to hear right now or might not. And if you do want to hear it, you're probably in the wrong place. Okay. But the thing is, that stuff, it doesn't exactly matter, because you know who figures this out? Every single individual on their own at all times. You don't need a central planner to decide what's socially valuable or necessary for anyone. People decide that on their own. That's what we have found out. Okay. What are people willing to pay for? What are people willing to invest in and guess that people will be willing to pay for later? What are they willing to take for their labor? Not that, maybe more, whatever. How much of these resources should go into this thing? Should that wood go into making a house or making a pencil or making a table? Well, how much are people willing to pay for each one of those things? And what is the cost of wood? You're not going to have a central planner that's going to figure out all that stuff.
And by the way,
you can't do it. They've tried. They can't do it. The people, all of this diffuse knowledge, they will all figure all of this out. And you don't even need to know how it happens, just that it works pretty damn good. Even with our government in here screwing it up on a daily basis all the time, it still works pretty good. But they should stop screwing it up.
This theory, Marxist theory, was developed after humans had already, for thousands of years, started coming up with ways to grow economies at scale. Now, albeit I'm not saying Russia was this free market beacon of capitalism, okay, but they were developing ways to grow economies at scale. An easy way to do this is strip everything down to go back hundreds of thousands of years or whatever you want, to where humans in their natural state, what was the value of their labor? You were trying to survive. That's it. You were born. then you grew up like learning how to build some kind of hut or find a cave or something. You went out to find food and water. Like that was your labor, was just surviving. Somehow, as we have evolved as a species and figured out ways in which we can create an economy and trade value and things, somehow
what's
we've...
best is like you specialize in what you're good at.
Yeah.
Someone else specializes.
Well, what I'm saying
in
is
something
somehow
else.
we've been able, somehow now the labor means something different.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, no, it's not. You're still putting in labor to do the same thing, which is survive. You just do that in a different way now because we have made it incredibly easy to survive for most people.
Instead of you taking that time to build your shelter and to grow your food and do all of that, you're instead working.
You can
doing
pursue something
else.
you're interested in.
You can do something else that you're actually good at or interested in and get money in exchange and then give that to other people who are willing to build you shelter and to grow you food. Like that, it's way better, but it's all still the same thing.
Yes.
We've just blown up the scale that it's all happening at, but it's still the same thing. It hasn't changed. You've always had to work to stay alive, and you still have to work to stay, unless you can get charity or whatever, you can get someone to help you and all that, but there's not a time in the future where we all just get to just sit here and just live the best life and not have to do anything at all, I guess, unless the robots take over. I don't know, but I'm not sure they'll need us,
Yeah.
So I watched Terminator last weekend, so I'm a little down
Well,
on the whole
I also
robot
imagine,
thing.
imagine you were in, you had a family. It's just your family, right? You're surviving. This is before any of these, amazing miracles we live in today. Let's just say you weren't a very good hunter, it's like, okay, well, you're going to get paid less.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it in that way. It's like, okay, you're going to get paid less. And the fact that your family can't eat as much as they would like to because you suck at hunting. Okay.
Really bad.
Now you're the same person who may be working a less than favorable wage or whatever that you want to consider it. Well, just think of it in the same way. Like, you suck at hunting. Okay. Like, improve your skills at hunting. Your family eats more. Improve your skills at your job. You make more money, or you can diversify or find something else you're interested in. It works the same. Just take away the economies of scale, go back to the bare minimum of you as an individual trying to live. And if you suck at hunting, you're going to die. Okay. If you suck at your job, you're not going to get paid very much, but think about this. All right. Now Nate is another individual on this planet, and he comes up with a better way to hunt, and now he's so rich with food.
Maybe I can get twice as much as what a normal person can.
And that's suddenly unfair.
It's very unfair.
We need to, sorry, I hit the table. We need to redistribute.
We need to get the votes in and get out of here,
We
because
need
I'm
to
about to pee my pants.
redistribute the wealth of your entrapment of animals to feed yourself. It's unfair. You've come up with a better way to do things. That's as simple as it can get. You think logically about this. You don't need fancy economic terms. It's extremely simple. All right. What are we voting for?
I'm gonna make sure I put Hassan Piker in here with number 8. Number 1 was the 600%, or it's 83%. We all know that, and we're gonna lie. So Trump thinks that we're loyal. Whichever one you guys want to do. Number 2, the impending Spirit Airlines bailout / purchase by the U.S. This is capitalism? Nope. Seeming more and more like socialism, fascism, all the badisms that there are. Not good. It's definitely cronyism, for sure. Corporatism, for sure. Number 3, Fed Galrine, flat out lies. I just got to call him out. The lies drive me nuts. Let's disagree. Let's not lie about things. Number 4, the response to Tucker. I had a bunch of other stuff in there, but I could tell we were running long on time, so we didn't get to go over all of it. Number 5, the mission accomplished moment. I think maybe everyone will be a little bit more humble next time. we're putting up our mission accomplished banner. Number 6, the flu, Mark Kelly with the flu vax versus smallpox. Number 7, Democrats, weed, Kamala, all of that. Number 8, billionaires, and plus that Hassan Piker clip. I don't know why he's such a big deal, but he seems to be a big deal. So we'll unfortunately have to look at more things that he says, I guess. Number 9, labor theory of value, and we need to spend some more time on that. So I actually brought up a couple of YouTube videos that people were posting as responses in here and all that, but we ran long, so
that's what we always do. It's dumb bleep of the week.
It's dumb bleep, man.
Get your votes in. It's a tight one, but there is a clear winner. While we're waiting for the votes to come in from our paid members, you can be a paid member getting your vote in too, the Fed Haters Club. JoinGML.com. That's joingml.com. Come hang out with us. If you want to support the sponsors that support this show, then all you have to do is go in, visit the links that are in the show notes. And that's how you can, you get something of value. We get something of value. Your labor is therefore accounted for and everyone is happy. That's a win-win-win-win-win. Everyone says thank you. That's great. The sponsors are happy. We're happy. You're happy. Everyone wins. That's the best way to distribute labor.
I like that shirt you're wearing, by the way.
Thanks,
it looks good on camera.
Appreciate that.
You need to get some more of them shirts.
Yeah. I actually got this at Walmart.
Really?
Believe it or not.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So, looks like Spirit, I'm going to call it, for Spirit Airlines, a failing airline that tried to be bought by, most recently, by another airline, to which the government blocked. And now the government is going to, in Trump's own words, bail out.
I still want to know, what's the plan? How are they going to get better? Is someone in the government going to make them better? Has the profit motive not incentivized them enough to make their airline better? What is it about getting bought by the government that's going to make this a profitable airline when they haven't profited since COVID? What's going to turn this around that makes this a good investment?
Paint it a different color. People don't like the yellow.
Unless the only flip, that could be it.
Yeah.
Is yellow a slower color? Does it make your planes fall apart in the sky? I'm not really sure.
It makes people feel like it's not going to be
Does it make the people on your plane crazier? Is that what it is? No, the only thing that might help them is if they get a bunch of government contracts or government money funneled towards them because they're now like a government airline, essentially. And then you can say, oh, look, we flipped it. We saved them. We took your money and forced it down their throats, and now their stock price, their value is better.
Oil is back down to $50 a barrel.
Oh, yeah. Oil's back down, too. Anyway.
I mean, look, Spirit can try some things. They suck as an airline for a couple of reasons. Yeah, their airfare is low, but basically you get railed. Like after you buy your ticket, then you gotta pay for the air you breathe on there. They run around. Every drink, every snack is charged for. You're charged for your carry-on bag.
I was gonna say it's one of those no bags airlines, right?
Basically, yes.
Where you need to be just making a day trip somewhere.
By the time you calculate it, you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I ended up paying $500 for this trip, and I could have just done that with Delta, and they're way nicer to me.
And the people on the plane are people who are there to get a good deal.
Yeah,
because anyhow, I'm never flying on Spirit or Frontier or any
I've flown on Frontier once, never again.
I've flown Frontier as my first and last time. My God.
That's just like Spirit. It's awful.
I'm done.
It is so bad. I flew a Peruvian airline that was better than that.
Oh, yeah.
For
sure.
All right, y'all. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Do all the things I said or don't. If you're on YouTube, make sure you comment and share and subscribe on YouTube.
Freaking Ethiopian Airlines is better than Spirit.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
It is. We appreciate y'all being here. It's a lot of fun.
Put me on Etihad Airways instead.
Dude, Etihad's
nice. Really good. Yeah. I like that one.
Good stuff right there. You want to talk about those? Look, people in Dubai and stuff, they're doing it right. All right. Emirates. That's some good stuff right there.
Give me some Emirates.
All right, do all those things I said. We love you. If you do, we'll be back again on Monday, I believe. Until then, I hope you have a good day and a good morning, Liberty.